everyone, and welcome back. We are here with another referral partner, and we are super excited to introduce you to Bill. Now, I'm going to tell you this is not what you are typically used to when it comes to referral partner conversations, but at the end of the day, you're going to understand why I'm interviewing Bill here because not everybody is in the place to be a business owner, and there's a lot of coaches and consultants out there. I know you guys have people in your lives, people in your families who are not business owners and maybe don't want to be business owners because maybe they're not cut out for it. But Bill is going to be talking about so like getting your resume in order the way that it needs to be able to actually achieve that job that you really want for yourself, not just like the crappy job that you're settling for, but like the career path that you really want for yourself. So, Bill, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Suzanne, for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Same here, same here. And Bill has an amazing free gift. So you absolutely want to wait until the end because remember, we do not give you guys that magic word until the end of the video, but you are not going to want to miss on this. So, Bill, so I got to ask, like, can you please just kind of give people a little bit of a rundown of what you do, considering this is something completely different than we usually have in our referral partner network? But I found it so important and so critical to bring you in. So, can you please just kind of give everybody a little bit of a background of what you do?
Well, thanks for that intro. What I do is
Yeah.
I'm a career development and leadership coach, and I usually put the adjective faith-based in front of that because my mantra is God, the universe, however you want to describe it, put us all here for a variety of reasons. Career is one of the most important. So it's up to us to define and manifest those reasons in the best way that we can, so that when we get to our hospice bed, we can look back and say, you know what? I did what I was put here to do. And that's where I start. I wrote a book called Finding God's True Purpose for Your Career, which I use as kind of a roadmap. And I affectionately call myself the Sherpa that will get you to the top of your next career mountain, even though I've never climbed a real mountain myself, some hills, but not a real mountain. The short of it is I worked in corporate marketing, advertising, public relations, and brand management for over 20 years on staff, and then another 8 years as a consultant. So I use kind of those marketing, positioning, strategic growth type of perspectives for individuals. And it's a whole lot more fun for me to market people than it ever was products and services, which is why I got into this 12 and a half years ago.
I love that so much. And I love how you say like it's so much more fun to actually be marketing people because yeah, it totally is. It's like you're getting the opportunity to see things in a way that other people don't and to also see people in a way that they probably don't see themselves.
Well, this is what you do as a quote unquote agency as well. I mean, you work with
Yes.
people and you figure out what's underneath the hood and pull it out so that proper communication, proper positioning, and a proper understanding of what it is that somebody can really do to provide value is, I mean, you play this game as well. It's just I'm doing it with individuals, you're doing it with larger groups, and it's all good.
Absolutely. This is why I love this crossover because, when you're dealing with, people that are looking to get a job, people that are looking to have this career path for themselves, they're tired of settling for the things that,
Yeah.
that don't serve them. They're settling for a job that like they could be doing better at, they could
Right.
be getting something more out of, or they could even feel more fulfilled in the job. So, out of curiosity, like when you're talking to somebody about like, what that career path looks like for them, how much of that comes down to they want to change because of money and how much of that is I want to change because I'm not happy.
It depends on the individual, but I'm going to say two-thirds to one-third not happy or toxic
Mm.
environment, bad boss, some version of company relocating, I don't want to get downsized. So that would be the two-thirds, even up to three-quarters. And then the other group is saying, you know what, I'm worth a lot more. I mean, I go through this whole spiel when I'm doing job fairs. How many of you are undervalued, underpaid, overwhelmed, and overworked?
Yeah,
And people are. And
yeah.
there's certainly the sacrifice that you're making for the quote unquote secure job. And in a lot of cases, that's a necessary thing depending on what stage of life you're in. On the other hand, there's so much more potential that people have that when you're put into a cookie cutter role within an organization, you can't always use your talents, your abilities, your skills in a way that feels fulfilling to you. So I use a concept that's called ikigai, and it's not something I made up, but I love it. It's the intersection of four Venn diagram circles. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What can you get paid for? And what does the world need? When you hit that bullseye, you win first, and it's like putting on your oxygen mask on an airplane. Everybody else around you, wins as well. And I've worked with over 600 clients in the 12 years I've been doing this. From recent college graduates, the youngest person I ever worked with was looking for an internship. She was 19, and she's had three jobs since then. She's doing great. The oldest person I worked with was 82. My sweet spot is mid to senior level executives who, for one reason or another, are not getting the promotion, not feeling fulfilled, just tired of the environment that they're in, but they have a lot to offer. I mean, if you've been flipping burgers for the last 10 years, I'm not your guy. But if you have something to work with, I can work with it and we can move forward.
I love that. And I love that like you're talking about the over unders. Because I talk about the over unders all the time. Are you overwhelmed? Are you overstressed? Are you, are you, feeling like you're being underpaid and underappreciated? So I talk about, I say, I'm like, are you guys in the over unders? And they're like, what's an over under?
It's not your football betting
Nope.
scheme for Sunday. 100% understand. I completely understand, and I've been there many times. P.S. When I introduce myself in front of large groups, I'll say, "Listen, why should you pay attention to anything that I have to say or bring forward?" Part of it is because I started working, quote unquote, as an entrepreneur at age 10 and a half. I'm the oldest of six, and I got tired of wearing hand-me-down clothes. And I started delivering newspapers. And that paper route was in the family for 18 years before we moved on. And it was a necessary source of income. And I've had a total of 44 consulting staff or other positions since 10 and a half until my not so young age right now. And I tell people, I say, listen, I haven't heard every story, but I know a lot of them personally and through clients. And we're going to navigate through this. We're going to get you through to the other side, whatever that means.
I love that so much. And, and here's something that I loved because we had talked about this before, and I wanted to bring this up on this call because
Yeah.
I find it so important. There is a piece where, there's some business owners that are just at the point where they're just like, you know what? I don't know if I want to be a business owner anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to do that. I think I just want to be able to show up at a job, clock in, clock out, and just have my peace time.
Hmm.
But from what happens and from what I've seen and from what other people have seen, when you are leaving a self-employed type of environment, trying to go
Hmm.
back to the workforce, nobody wants to hire you. Like they don't want to hire you. So what have you come across with that as like as far as like people that are wanting to kind of leave the entrepreneurial space and come into back into the workforce? Have you had any experiences along those lines?
Yes, I've had, I'm going to say five or six. I'd have to do the exact count of exactly what you're just saying, and including one client that I started working with in August who is going to start a position down in Virginia on January 5th. And he was part of a family business for, I don't know, 16, 18 years. And then he went to work for another small business. And he had a larger company that he was working with, but he was still pigeonholed despite his real area of expertise, which was plumbing and electrical on large construction or renovation projects. He couldn't knock the door down to get into a larger corporation. And he's doing it for family reasons. He wanted to have that security as his kids are going through school and to college and everything else. So he is my most recent yes along those lines. And another gentleman that I worked with in New Jersey back in, I want to say 2019, he had owned his own landscaping, construction, and snowplow business for 24 years, somewhere plus or minus. He had exactly that same sentiment that you just described. And the big thing is transferable skills. What is it that you bring to the party? It's not about the mindset about quote unquote, I have to be the boss and I have to make all decisions. That's not what we're really looking for. What you're really looking for is what did you do to make your business successful? And when that comes up to the top and we write all those in the skill sets at the top of a resume or in a LinkedIn about section, then it becomes like, oh yeah. And this gentleman became a project manager for a very large highway construction company in New Jersey until he retired last year. So he did that for about 5.5 years before he retired for exactly the same reasons that you just described. So
Yeah.
there's a mindset shift in terms of like, I have to get collaboration on my decisions. I have to make sure that the reporting structure works and everything else. So there's a difference in that. But if you're all about client service and good outcomes, producing good results, you're going to make it. And certainly there are reasons. I had another gentleman I worked with who was in his 70s when we started, where he had retired, but his wife had a major health issue that really cut into their finances. And when you talked to him on the phone, you didn't think he was mid 50s. Sure enough, within 3 weeks after we had done his resume, he was back at it after being retired for 4 years. Again, it's
Oh,
everybody's circumstance is different. And I'll say this, I'm not a magician, but I do know how to tell a story, and more importantly, how to ask the right questions So the story comes up and comes out. And then it's like, oh, okay, I can frame this. I can make a positioning for you that's going to make sense to somebody who doesn't know who you are.
That's beautiful. And I really love that that's, the way that you're going to kind of approach things is it's more about the invitation to meet somebody instead of a resume.
Yeah.
And that's just a beautiful way of being able to put it is like you're really introducing them, not a standard resume where it's like just all, very factual, but it's you're talking about, incorporating them into the conversation of like here's how we're going to have this conversation. It's just a way to really engage the person. And like you said, it's like marketing the person, not a product or a service. I really love that.
Well, let me just, I'm gonna take this into five quick phases here, if I could, for a minute. The
Sure.
resume is the most obvious, quote unquote, output piece, as is a
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile. But the way my book goes is, what do you want to do and why, which is kind of like your concrete basement. Then you define what your value proposition is, and you put the studs up and you put everything going up to the roof, and then you do, the sheetrock, which is networking and outreach, and then you do interviewing and negotiating, which is the roof on the top, and then you have to onboard properly. So I work with clients through every phase of that. My signature program is working with you until you land, plus a couple of onboarding meetings afterwards, and I have a leadership mentorship program that goes for 12 months, just to make sure that, especially if you're going into a new industry or a new company where you've been at the same group for 20 years or whatever, and I've had several of those, where we're going to make sure that you don't get lost in the wave of a new person coming into an organization. And the biggest thing that I have found related to all that is that when you build that foundation properly, when your why is clear and then your what supports it, everything else goes in the right direction. Everything else flows properly. Like a guy I worked with recently, 21 years at a company, got laid off in March, found a new position in mid-June at a higher salary level than he was when he left. The bottom line was, he as a packaging engineer, I would pull my eyes out if I had to do his job, but he was so passionate about it. And I had to interpret how he would then tell his story in a way that would be meaningful and he had three offers before he took the one that he was really most
Wow.
excited about, which was great. So,
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And I think that segues perfectly into your free gift because honestly, I love your gift. I think that the gift that you are giving people is like ample. So can you tell us a little bit about that free gift?
sure, the free gift is kind of a combo. It's what I'll call a resume review slash career audit. And usually I can do that in about 15 or 20 minutes. If we go a little longer than that, I'm okay with it. But either way, I've probably seen 25,000 resumes in the last 12 years. I used to be the MC at job fairs up and down the East Coast, and I'd see 50, 100 a night. And on a rough percentage basis, there were probably 25, 30% of resumes I wouldn't send a high school kid out with. Another 50 to 55% that were decent, but certainly not telling the full story. And then it'd probably be about 5% total, and my math may be wrong, but 5% that I'd say, hey, this is really good, go, do
Yeah.
it. And what happens is people do well in their careers, but they don't do well about communicating what they've done in their careers. And that's where I come in. And especially if you're going to make a transition either upwards or sideways to either a different industry, different company, or you're going to get a promotion, a C-level promotion to a CEO type of thing. And it's the story that's the most important thing. So what I do is a resume audit, and I ask the person, I said, are you open to me giving you an honest review of what this is? Because I don't want to insult anybody.
Of course.
But I do want to be pragmatic about it. And literally it comes down to, hey, Matt, I'm looking at this. Isn't there more underneath the hood than this? Didn't you do more than this? What was the impact of this from a result standpoint? And really, and how come it's not here? That kind of thing. So it's a resume review and then a career audit. It's like, okay, once I see what you're all about and I get an idea what your areas of specialty are and why, then what does it mean in terms of what you want to do next, do you think? And is it, or you may have some questions. Probably 25% of the people that I work with, they aren't sure what they want to do next. I've been doing this 25 years and I've made some good living at it, but I'm not happy. I don't know what I want to do next. We go a different pathway to get that concrete basement taken care of before we build the rest of the house.
I love that so much. I love that. So, guys, if you want to get this free gift from Bill, drop the word resume below. So, the word resume, drop that in the comments below, and Bill and his team are going to reach out to you and get you that free gift. Now, again, this is something you're not going to want to miss out on, especially if you are considering going back into the workforce or you know somebody who's trying to get back into the workforce and they're struggling to get back into it, like definitely let them know about this, tag them below, make sure that they drop the word resume in there too. And then you'll be able to get that free gift from Bill. So Bill, thank you so much for your time today. I am greatly appreciative. And this was a really fun interview. So thank you.
Same, and I'll just say that for both of us, go Patriots as the playoffs start to
Yes.
come up. So, anyway,
Yes.
thanks again, Suzanne. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much. And bye for now, everybody.